Okay, so let's get this out of the way early. I'm a coon, I'm an Oreo, I'm an Uncle Tom, even though Uncle Tom wasn't the sellout in that book, Sambo was. I'm whatever pejorative the black Twitter woke mafia decides they want to throw my way. Tariq Nasheed. Oh man, this video has been a long time coming. I keep saying, oh man, I'm going to do a video about Tariq Nasheed. I want to talk about Tariq Nasheed, but I just never really had, I guess, a beginning, middle, and end to it. And yet, here we are with this Cam Newton situation. Now, first and foremost, before I start reading off this stuff, I want to say that I do respect this man's ambitions. I do respect his hustle. As someone that likes that considers himself a bit of a hustler, I do like to respect that he knows how to play the America game. And the America game is you take money that's in a sucker's pocket and you put it into your pocket. And he's really carved a career for himself here on the internet, doing the exact same thing, from, his K-Flex days to his pimping in Congress skits. I mean, the guy, I will say he's talented. He's definitely a talented individual, but I just don't respect that a lot of his, content and his advocacy, quote unquote, really relies on the history of descendants of American slavery. Blackness and whiteness, all these different yellowness. Do Asians call the whole yellowness son type deal? I'm not sure. I don't think so. But really, when it comes to just not Tariq Nasheed, but Umar and all these other internet revolutionaries, D-Ray, I really would like to count the rings on these guys. And when I say count the rings, I mean, check their lineage, because I'm just not sure or certain. Anybody with skin darker than a paper bag can basically come across as black. So we have a situation here where Cam Newton offered a man $1,500 cash for extra legroom on a 10-hour flight, and the man said no. Hashtag give France the NFL. Now, Mr. Nasheed chimes in. Cam Newton offered a white man $1,500 cash to exchange seats with him, and the man turned him down. And many people are confused as to why he didn't take the money. He didn't take the offer because this was an insult to his whiteness. Oh my God. Okay. The long and short of the story is that Cam's people didn't get him a proper seat. He tried to improvise. It didn't work. We move on. He didn't have to take the money. He asked, he said no. The guy said no. That's it. This has nothing to do with whiteness. It really is just him stretching to, race bait. And he says it himself in his profile that he's the #1 world's race baiter. And he tries to twist it like, oh yeah, I catch the racist and I call them out. No, dude, you are the racist. He can't be racist because he's black. And he believes that black people are superior to white people, or at least, I cannot confirm that. So he comes across as he believes that black people are superior to white people. So yeah, that makes you racist, bruh. But I want to go through this thread. Well, it's not really a thread. It's just several tweets that he put out in regards to this instance. This was the main reason they had strictly enforced Jim Crow sections and modes of transportation like trains, buses, etc. This anxiety is really enforced on ships. You can guess where the anxiety stemmed from. And he has a picture of Amistad right there. Oh boy. Systematic white supremacy is maintained by having a military mechanism at the immediate disposal of the suspected white supremacist for protection. This generally comes in the form of law enforcement. People who benefit from systematic white supremacy are fully aware of this. But did they call the cops? Did anybody call the cops on Cam? No. The guy just said no. And there's more. When people are in transportation mode, some mechanisms of transportation limit the access of militaristic backup for the white supremacists. And when black people are in the vicinity of this transportation, the white supremacists are hypersensitive. Oftentimes, when black people are traveling within the vicinity of suspected white supremacists, especially on planes, the suspected racists feel more comfortable when blacks are in a subordinate position. What? Yo, dude, there's so much more of this. But as someone who, guys, I've lived across this country. I've from Jersey to California and damn near everywhere in between. I've been across this country. I've met white people, black people, brown people that are all just good and decent people. As far as white supremacy, I don't want to call it a myth, because there are people that believe that due to a god or whatever, that they are superior, but that falls on all sides. This is not just a one-time thing. And what I've come to learn, particularly in dealing with people of all different backgrounds and races and capacities and ethnicities, is that you treat people with respect and they're going to respect you back 9 times out of 10. Yes, you will have people who are just dicks. Some people are just having a bad day. Some people just don't like black people. And you know what you do? You avoid them. You step to the side. You say, okay, cool, bet, it is what it is. And go about your business. But this gentleman, and it's really one of my biggest beefs with Mr. Nasheed, is that he takes these small instances and tries to amplify them in order to racially antagonize. And the problem is that, black people, and when we say black people, we're not even talking about descendants of slavery anymore. We're just talking about any old person that's darker than a paper bag. Like, you're using them. You're using these people. You're using the struggle of descendants, but you're also using, like all black people, we are nothing more than 13% of the population. So if something were to jump off, guess who's screwed? And plus, people don't know how to shoot for shit. 6. Many black people who has flown in first class on planes have experienced a random white person sitting next to them who is hell-bent on finding out what the black person does for a living. This happens to me almost every time I fly, by the way. I have made videos on this. Oh, Jesus Christ. And honestly, I'm pretty sure most of those times they're just trying to make conversation, and especially if you're on a long flight, what they do for a living. That's a really good question. It's a small talk question. But he's just like, oh, well, they must think I'm a drug dealer or something like that. Because he has that narcissistic, like, yo, this dude is so feminine. It's not even funny. Like, he is very feminine. He tries to come across as, some kind of like basically alpha, but no, almost everything about him has this narcissistic, very feminine quality to it. And so the white person sitting next to him is like, hey, so, what do you do for a living? And you can sit there and go on your little tangent about how you're a racist ass race baiter. Or, you can sit there in your head and come up with this, oh man, they must think I'm selling drugs and all this other nonsense. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Notice how you will see multiple cases of white people getting black people kicked off of planes for minor reasons. This stems from the desire to make sure their whiteness is intact while being forced in their minds to be near unknown black people. African women and children kicked off a United flight after white. SCMP, South China Morning Post. Okay, can you find an American instance of this? And for minor reasons, I'm not clicking that link primarily because I don't trust it, but people hit me with some malware, but no, minor reasons. And this is really a thing that happens in the black community. This is something that's big. Like, they'll sit there, you can burn somebody's house down and they'll be like, oh, just for that, starting a little fire. Like, bro, you go to jail. All right. So minor things really does vary depending on the person. And it's an African woman. This is from China Morning Post. So this more than likely didn't even take place in the United States. People felt away in the comments of this tweet I made earlier. Okay, so we're reaching the end of this, where basically he white knights for Cam Newton and continues to racially antagonize, which is just nonsense. Most of these people, most of those white people that are sitting next to you, don't care. Like they're just trying to get from point A to point B. They want to make sure they hope you got deodorant on and you're not allowed either for the most part. People felt away in the comments of this tweet I made earlier. They said I was reaching. Yeah. So let's do an analysis of the general anti-black animosity that comes with the airline. People in the dominant society have always had an intrinsic anxiety about traveling with black people. I'm black, and I got an intrinsic anxiety about traveling with black people, okay? Like, I mean, honestly, and there's a lot of people that have anxiety about traveling in general. Like, let's go up to the, let's take this to the top. Wait, so there's, oh, wait, no. Oh my goodness. Okay. I thought we were done, but there's more. A couple of months ago, a black woman was kicked off a plane and arrested because she didn't want to sit in a seat where someone vomited. Oh no. Man refuses to sit next to an elderly black woman on Ryanair Air. Okay, so remember last year when a white supremacist went on an anti-black rant on a flight because he did not want to sit next to a black woman. And he wasn't even kicked off the flight, by the way. Oh yeah, boohoo. Okay. Earlier this year, a suspected white supremacist female racially antagonized two black male passengers she had to sit between, and the media tried to spin this into a fat shaming narrative. The media always assists with the denial of racism code. And we can't forget the numerous cases where black men are kicked off of flights for sagging their pants. The old "it's not racism, it's the dress code" excuse is one of the favorite anti-black subordination tactics of white supremacy. Okay, so like honestly, I hope white kids were kicked off of a plane for sagging their pants as well. I mean, real talk. Oh, wait. Airlines will eject and even arrest black passengers for sagging pants. Yet these same airlines let white men fly around like this and won't see any problems with it. Men like this are allowed to fly and get bussy stains on airline seats and no one complains. Airlines will often reprimand black passengers for any minor racially enforced dress code violation, but we have to sit in front on this person and we will get kicked off for complaining. Now, back to Cam Newton. Oh, wow. Okay, now it's back to Cam Newton. Okay, so before we get back to Cam Newton, when it comes to those instances, I'm not 100% sure, because the deal is that, like, they're so detailed. There is so much nuance in every interaction, in every human interaction, that no matter what, I'm just more than willing. If I personally was not there to witness the event, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my goodness, this is the worst thing ever. Like if that woman who refused to sit in the seat with the vomit, right? She may have just snapped off. She may have been wilding. She may have, just continued to berate and belittle and everything else like that, to where, and besides, is that really a bad thing, her getting kicked off if she didn't want to sit in the vomit, right? I mean, there's just so many different angles that can be taken, that going automatically to, oh my goodness, this person is such a racist type angle. I mean, maybe with the one guy who apparently was where is that one? Okay, yeah, that's weird. Like, honestly, stop comparing apples to oranges. It's like I don't want any of them anywhere either. Anyway, on a Ryanair flight to London, where he refuses to sit next to an elderly black woman. And he went on an anti-black rant. I mean, maybe, who knows? He wasn't kicked off. It is what it is. But sitting here stressing about it, sitting here crying about it is just completely nonsense. Now, back to Cam Newton. Cam is constantly referred to as an uppity black man because he moves around confidently on and off the field. And there is always a desire to put that uppity black in their place. That's what people like about this. That's what people like about the airline story. Oh my goodness. So you just went and tossed on a whole cape for Cam Newton, who probably knows you're alive, but other than that, I mean, really. And he's what's that? No, so he moved on from there, and I'm not gonna give his nonsense any play. Sean King, I'm on my way. But the deal is that that's his entire shtick. And he's like a lot of people. Like, I think almost everyone that I've done a video on, I say I can agree with them on a lot of points. I really can. But tends to be an overarching issue with what they proclaim. Same as with Candace Owens. Candace Owens, she says things that I agree with. Can't Mr. Nasheed, he says things that I agree with. AIU, Tommy Sotomayor, they all say things that I agree with. But the problem is that, and here's where the issue comes in with Mr. Tariq Nasheed, is that your entire shtick is built off of ancestral pain and it's and ancestral issues. And instead of actually going to fix any of these issues, that's my problem with him. It's my problem with Sean King. It's my problem with Candace. It's my problem with Tommy. It's my problem with each and every so-called one of these internet revolutionaries who have found their niche. And it's hard to find your niche in life. So if you find your niche, I respect you. But at the same time, that if that niche is built off of historical pain and struggle without actually trying to fix these problems, because the problems remain to this very second. Okay, make no mistake. You want to sit here and cry about reparations and shit that happened back in slavery. I apologize, but we have people that are going to jail right now. Right now. And yet, instead of sitting there and actually focusing on them, what they do is they cry about Cam Newton. They cry about all these other like cry about all these celebrities. It's like, dude, who's putting in the work outside of myself on the ground level in these communities at the local city in county and state wide level? Who's doing that? None of these folks. I can guarantee you Tariq Nasheed ain't doing that shit. They're just here to exploit. They are literally no different than the white supremacists that they claim to despise. They see the struggle, and instead of actually aiming to fix it, they do nothing but exploit it. And it's bullshit. So with that being said, I'm going to bring this video to an end. Like it if you liked it, or dislike it. I ain't scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice. Share because sharing is caring. And speak. Let me know. What do you think of Tariq Nasheed? Do you think he's nothing more than the same racial antagonist that he proclaims all these different white people to be? Just a different side of the same coin? Because that's really where I'm landing with it. This guy, as much as I'd like, because for all those examples he gave, right? There are 1,000,003 other examples. There are examples every day of people being, people getting into situations and instances. And one of my favorite Dave Chappelle sketches was The Monsters. It was in the Lost tapes, or the season when he left for Africa. And the monsters are swearing that they're being discriminated against. But at the end of the day, no, you're the monster. You're the asshole. Stop it. And that's what I feel. This foundational Black American. Oh my goodness, because he got into a beef with the ADOS people, and so he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own thing, and so he called it a foundational Black American. Oh my goodness, I'm the world's #1 race baiter. I bait racists and expose them. You are the racist, Tariq Nasheed. You really are. And wearing your white night cape for fucking Cam Newton really kind of shows like you're a bit of a bitch, my dude. Because seriously, he didn't need you to cape for him. That situation was nowhere near all what you tried to make it out to be. But you did that because, hey, you got to keep feeding red meat to those idiots that follow you. And yes, if you follow Tariq Nasheed and you take what he says seriously, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I love you. I love you. And I'll happily, take you to remedial class. But this guy, he is nothing but a con man. And whereas I respect con men, I really do. I respect hustlers. I respect people that's out here trying to play this American game. I cannot respect it on the strength of he's using the history that's in my blood to facilitate his fortune. The same way the Caucasians and and everybody else tends to do. So make no mistakes. You are the part of the problem. You're a big part of the problem, Mr. Nasheed. And until the next one. Let's get this out of the way. I'm a coon. I'm a Oreo.